Well, welcome back, friends, to the Hypocrites and Hypochondriacs podcast, second season, entitled Passionfruit. Join me on a journey as we navigate through becoming to being all we were created to be. I am your host, Antea Evelina, and I am excited about this new journey. Well, our nutrition fact is, your why should produce a passion that bears fruit. And in this episode, we're going to unpack what that looks like. So stay tuned. So friends, in this season of my life, I've really been trying to live my life on purpose. And if you listen to the first season of the Hypocrites and Hypochondriacs podcast, you know that February of this year, I put my notice in and I basically quit everything that I was doing as it pertains to employment and working for someone else. I would say that it was a pivot and it was a reset. But in this world, people are so used to hustling. People are so used to punching someone else's clock and working for someone else that it's hard for some people to wrap their head around someone not working for someone else and someone just at home being. And that's what I am. This podcast is a labor of love and is an extension of my purpose that I feel like I was called to in my life. At a very young age, at 15, I knew what I wanted to do. And I would say that I spent the majority of my life living for other people. I spent the majority of my life doing what I felt like would be acceptable to my family and my friends and society. And so to be at a place in my life where I can afford to be at home is a blessing. But what most people don't know is in 2014, I quit my job so that I could build my business along with my husband. And along with my husband, since 2009, we've worked on our own businesses. And so when 2020 came along and I had gone from being a volunteer to an employee to launching a coffee shop and doing all these different ventures, people didn't really understand why I had quit. My season was over where I was, and it was time for me to get back on track to what I was destined to do and what I knew that I was supposed to be doing since I was 15 years old. In the introduction of this podcast, I say, join me on a journey as I navigate through becoming to being all I was created to be. And that is what I'm doing right now. And a lot of times we do things, and for years I did things, but it's time for me to truly be what God had called me to be. So I would say, ask yourself a question. What is your why? Remember, our nutrition fact is your why should produce a passion that bears fruit. Now, I spent the whole first season really talking about identity because that is really what this podcast is about. It's about self-identity and self-awareness and valuing yourself, but most importantly, above all, knowing yourself. And so many people go through life looking for validation because they don't truly know who they are. So I laid the groundwork in the first season so that we could come into the second season armed and ready to walk this thing out. I would say your why is your purpose, but it doesn't have to be that big or that major. Your why could be something that you take with you in whatever task that you do in life. If you work a job and you have a why as a company, or if you're in a relationship and you have a why, or with your family you have a why, your why should produce a passion that bears fruit, meaning that you should be so serious about your why that you're passionate about it. And ultimately it bears fruit. The benefit of it bearing fruit is it's not just going to benefit you, but it's going to benefit generations. Having a why is such a selfless act, because most people just want to be able to live and live comfortably. Most people want to have income. They want to have a place to live. They want to have food to eat. They want to have all the creature comforts of life. And if they could just live their life, what people normally call my four and no more, they'll be content. But a why is not for you alone. A why is for others. And so some people don't have a why, or they don't identify with the why, because I believe that we were all created on purpose with a purpose. And so the whole point of you existing is so that other people can have a better life, so that someone can benefit from your presence. We all have a ability to give life, and we all have an ability to encourage life. If you look at fruit, you understand that the whole point of a fruit having a seed is so that it can duplicate itself and multiply. And so your why is your multiplier, and your passion encourages growth. So your why is your seed duplicator, but that passion is what allows that seed to grow. It's what waters that seed, is what encourages growth. And so those things combined together is what produces your passion fruit. So friends, it's going to happen regardless. Have you ever heard that saying, you reap what you sow? That's just the way that it is. If you're going to sow negativity, you're going to reap negativity. If you're going to sow positivity, you're going to reap positivity. But it's so important to identify what your why is, because your why is always going to be positive. Your why is always going to impact lives positively. What you put in is what you get out of it. But what's bigger than just the little incidents, or just the little situations and circumstances, or just those individual seeds that we may sow throughout life, what's bigger than that is the crop. What's bigger than that is the trees. What's bigger than that is the forest. What's bigger than that is the ultimate reason why you were born. You were born on purpose with a purpose. So I'm going to say to you, choose to be your best self. I want to leave you with this quote from Maya Angelou that says, do the best you can until you know better. Then when you know better, do better. Friends, I am so excited about the next season of the Hypocrites and Hypochondriacs podcast. We are going to bring on special guests that are going to give their perspective and their experiences. They're going to share their journey to passion fruit. And I encourage you to tune in every Wednesday and listen, and make sure that you reach out to us on social media. Make sure you're following us on Instagram, and make sure you're checking out our website. And if you have any questions or you want to hear certain subjects, reach out to us, because we want to give the people what they want. Amen. All right. Well, until next time, be blessed.